for improving pain management and end-of-life care, and is dedicated to helping others lead more fulfilling lives. In pursuit of encouraging others, Lisa has written 4 books that describe her Italian-American upbringing and how Coraggio, or courage, is the key to overcoming adversity and to achieving any endeavor. So without further ado, please help me in giving a warm welcome to our spotlight speaker tonight, Lisa Gigliotti.
Tanti grazie, bella, bella. Thank you so much, and to Allie as well. I had no idea about that incredible introduction. Grazie again. Okay, I feel like this is an Italian fest, right? First of all, we are in Izzo country. Secondly, we have the beautiful, the bellissima Dama sisters. And thirdly, you have Lisa Gigliotti, and I brought with me the photo of my little Italian nonna with me. So, how about a little Italian lesson before we start out, okay? You can see on the screen here, the word for courage in Italian. Katie already helped us out with Coraggio, so on the count of 3, are we ready? 1, 2, 3!
Coraggio!
Oh, molto bene, molto bene! Okay, I need to throw you a curveball, that was too easy then. There's a more difficult word in Italian, zebra. Are you all ready? Pay attention. Zebra. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Zebra!
Okay, so what do zebras have to do with Coraggio? Well, when I was 20 years old, I knew exactly what I was going to do with my life. I was going to serve others as a medical doctor, help heal people in need. And in the middle of my sophomore year of college, I woke up and I was locked in a pain ball. There was pain burning so deeply in every single one of my joints I couldn't move. And I went to our family doctor who told me, you have rheumatoid arthritis, but we have good news. We have nice institutions for young people like you to go to. It will cripple you, and we'll take care of you. And I said, doctor, I'm going to be a doctor. I have to serve others. And he told me no. And that's one of the most important things that Katie and I talked about. Don't you ever let anybody tell you you can't achieve whatever is sealed on your heart. And so after that doctor, I drove straight to Nonna's house, my little Italian grandmother. She brought me in to sit on the couch, and people think that the Italians, you tell them something and they're going to start wailing and throwing their arms around and be all upset. But Nonna didn't do that. She sat very quietly, she patted my hand in a nice grandmotherly way, and almost so I couldn't hear her, she said to me, Coraggio, Lisa, Coraggio. And then I'm thinking to myself, this is Nonna, the matriarch. That's all she's got for me? Coraggio? As Katie already told you about the Southern Italians, we have a little bit of testadura, a little bit of stubbornness. And I moved out to California where my mother and her mother were living. And I did finish undergrad just to show that doctor. But he was right with regard to it being a severe case of rheumatoid arthritis. And as soon after I graduated, I was no longer able to walk. All the cartilage had been eaten away in between my knees, and I pretty much ended up bedridden. But I had the care of this loving mother and grandmother who toileted me, fed me, bathed me. They did it because they loved me. I never felt this loss of dignity. And so I started getting better. It was about 2 years later, and I was able to get up in my wheelchair, sit in it, and propel myself backward with the heels of my feet to get around our small apartment. And Christmas was coming up, and we were going to take a trip. And to make a long story short, it just sounded a lot easier without having to take a wheelchair for them to go for Christmas and come back. The day after Christmas, we put all our presents around the tree and we were going to celebrate when they came back. There was a family friend who would stay with me. Not a problem, I can do this. As soon as they left, the family friend left, she was homesick. So I thought to myself, you know, you can do this, Lisa. There were no cell phones at that time. I couldn't call my mom and grandmother. I didn't know where they'd be spending the night on their trip. And so I thought, this is not a big deal. Please put down a cup and a spoon and a bowl so that I'll be able to feed myself. I can do this, they'll be back in a day. And so I was home, alone, in the apartment to receive a phone call from a wonderful, wonderful volunteer in an emergency room in a hospital a couple states away. And she said to me, Lisa, there's been a terrible accident. Your mother is dead, and your grandmother may die as well. We need to get her into surgery as soon as you can give us authorization. And that, to this day, remains the greatest karate kick to my soul. And I cried out to God, don't let it be true. I don't care if I can never get up and walk again. Make my mom be alive. And I was so determined to give a eulogy which really symbolized who this woman was. I call her Julie Andrews because she was tall, blonde hair, blue-eyed. She always had her guitar with her. I wanted that eulogy to show everybody this woman's light and joy. And when it came time for her eulogy, somebody got my wheelchair, brought it to the front of the chapel, wheeled me around to face the participants. And I started to tell people about how she would light up a room. And then the ultimate garden, my boy sounded like death. And you could see people in the room saying, oh no, she's gonna cry. I don't wanna look at her, she's gonna cry. But I knew there was something wrong, something going wrong with my nervous system. And shortly after that, I was watching the University of Michigan. Can I say that? I was watching the University of Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and I saw the quarterback going back for the pass. I was watching his football. He raises it up. There's two footballs where the one football is. I'm watching the lineman down on the line. Two white lines where there was one line. That's really weird, but I've been under a lot of stress. How could I be having double vision now? But I didn't tell anybody. And I had met this young acquaintance, and we had gone to lunch together. And I want to tell you a little bit about him. So he's Italian-American. He was raised in the Midwest. He's handsome, and guess the best of all. He's single! And so we were talking about a lot at lunch, and we were laughing. We had so much in common. And I took a big sip of my Slurpee, and I saw the look in his face. It was shock and horror. I had dribbled smoothie out onto the table in front of the cute and single Italian-American guy. And so I called my doctor and made my confession. A confession that I had been hiding from everybody. I could no longer lift my arms even to brush my hair or my teeth. I was having a very difficult time talking. And now I had even lost the ability to swallow and was choking almost on my own sputum quite often. And thankfully for my pre-med studies, I thought I knew what it was. She did a test and she confirmed, you have myasthenia gravis. So rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease that affects your joints, and myasthenia gravis is one that affects your nervous system. And that got me an instant trip to the hospital, and when discharged from the hospital, having to go into a nursing home because there was nobody. My mother and grandmother had just been killed, and I didn't have anyone to take care of me, and I couldn't drive. And you know, those times when it would be dark at night in the nursing home room, door would shut, the cries of people with dementia would die down, and I would just think of my life. I wasn't helping other people. I was born to help other people and heal other people. Instead, people had to take care of me. People had to feed me. People had to grind up my food and deliver me a plate of 4 globs every day because I couldn't swallow. I had to get a blood dialysis all the time. And the worst of all was just thinking about my mom and grandmother and how I didn't say I love you before the last time I saw them. Over and over again. Why couldn't I have just said 3 simple words? And in the middle of one of those dark, quiet nights in the nursing home, I just remember crying out to God and saying, God, you got to help me. I'm in this slimy, dark vortex. I can't grab onto anything to save myself or pull myself up anymore. You gotta help me. And it was in that darkest night, the darkest night you were talking about, that in the back of my mind, I heard a little voice. And the voice said to me, Coraggio, please, Coraggio. And that was a moment of mercy and grace. It was the moment that I instantly understood what Nona was telling me. Nona told all kinds of stories all the time. And they always talked about somebody from the old country who was dealing with some kind of adversity. Their child was born and died right after birth. Their son went to war and was killed. Their husbands were injured in some kind of laboring type of work. But they always moved forward. These women had nothing in this small town. They had no wealth. There wasn't even a doctor there. They had no technology. But somehow they always figured out one aspect that they could take charge of. Even if it was something as simple as, I'm going to start a pot of water boiling to make pasta to feed my family. So if these women could make it forward, I could also move forward from that nursing home. I could also try to find some aspect that I could cling on to in this time when I felt like I had no control. One of the first things, think about it, I could demand a meeting with the dietitian and say, hey, you know what? I'm really tired of eating this ground up mush. You know, let's start working me toward eating solid food again. I could take the occupational therapist, physical therapist, and tell them, I need to get out of here. What do I need to do to get back up on my feet and out of here? And so with that Coraggio spirit, that courage to find one aspect to take charge of, feeling like I had control over my body and my destiny, I could move forward. I could move forward to accomplish all of the things in my career. But I could also move forward despite having 12 surgeries to replace joints in my body and the thymus gland removal, which would help my myasthenia gravis quite a bit. So I call that Coraggio, and I say that no matter what your adversity, there's some aspect that you can take and move forward. And tonight, it's such a great honor to be here tonight, but it's also poignant to talk about invisible illnesses, because you know what? I think it takes supercharged Coraggio to deal with invisible illnesses. Think about it. First of all, physicians are having a difficult time diagnosing you. You know something feels wrong. They can't figure it out. You've got friends, co-workers, family members who you might think are saying to you, oh, are you sure you're not making this up? Is it not all in your head? It takes a lot of Coraggio to keep trying to find another doctor to help you. It takes a lot of Coraggio to take any negative talk, any negative looks, any negative someone when you park in a handicapped spot and they're looking at you like, oh, why are you using that? Shut it out. Switch to the positive. Start thinking of everything you have gratitude for. Keep moving forward. And so that's why the theme tonight is, I might have an invisible illness, but my dreams and my drive are vividly alive. Katie, let's talk about you first. Thank you for mentioning a little bit about Ehlers-Danlos and also about dysautonomia. You know, I know you have the heart and soul to be an educator. You went to undergrad for that, went on to get your master's in curriculum. But we heard a little bit of her struggles, and I just want everybody to think of this. Let's say that you had to go to 23 different doctors, that you had a neck brace and a back brace because your body wasn't responding to you at all. Would you feel in your life that you had any control at all? But no, you lived with that Coraggio spirit to find something to take charge of. And when I look at you here now, I just want to acknowledge that not only are you an educator of children and have helped many children, but the hundreds of people you've educated through this foundation because you look outside of yourself to keep moving forward. And the thousands of people and millions maybe that you're going to help by raising this money for research and to encourage physicians to really look into invisible illnesses so that other people will be diagnosed sooner and the treatments will improve. You did that. You may have an invisible illness, Katie, but your dreams and your drive are visibly alive. Coraggio! Allie's smiling because she doesn't realize what she's going to go next. Allie, you are such a sweetheart. You really are a sweetheart. I want to talk to you a little bit. You know, I have to tell you that when I hear that you were an NCAA Division I champion really in gymnastics and represented our country internationally, I don't even know what to say because I know how discouraged I get when I'm trying to bend over and put my shoes and socks on and I can't even bend that far. I mean, I can't even imagine how you bend your body to get in and out of the parallel bars and do it all and everything else. So again, I'm just going to ask everyone here, stop for a second and to think, can you imagine them being hospitalized for almost 7 weeks, not knowing whether you were going to be alive the next day? You go from being uneven parallel bars internationally to not knowing whether you're going to be alive. How much more could that be for not being able, having control over your body or control over this destiny that you had chosen for yourself? But I want to tell you a little bit about what I see. I see how you've used all that energy to get your master's in occupational therapy. I see that you're using occupational therapy. You have a goal to start maybe a gym for young kids so that you can help them find whatever workaround they need to so they can live a fulfilling life and they can move their bodies in health and safety ways. So I say to you, Allie, you may have an invisible illness, but your dreams and drive are vividly alive. Hurrah! Talk a little bit about workarounds. I've written about some of them, but they're really important, and you're my captive audience right now, so we're going to talk a little bit. We talked about attitude and how important that is. All right, so I want to talk a little bit next about sleep, just very briefly. Why is it in this country that it's a badge of honor for us to say, I only got 6 hours of sleep, yeah, I just had a Red Bull, everything's going to be fine. Sleep! It's the time when our bodies can heal. It's the time when our brains can sort everything and get it fixed up. All right, have a little bit of Coraggio, whatever it takes to work around in your life to get enough sleep. Pay attention though, if you might be sleeping too much, for depression. I talk about depression every chance I get because people don't want to talk about it or they're ashamed of it. Please find a psychologist and talk to them or talk to somebody about it and really try to heal yourself from that. Okay, next, diet. Okay, I am 100% in control of what I put in my mouth. The supersized fries, yes, I can't blame that anyone else. No excuses there. So when I put something in my mouth, I want to make sure it's a health-building something. And with courage, I can pick those health-building foods for myself. All right, lastly, we'll talk about exercise. Again, Allie, thank you. It was the occupational therapist and physical therapist. No matter what part of my arm or leg was in a cast, they helped me figure out how to do some kind of movement around my body safely, but also to build up how I needed to get back on my feet and back to work. So thank you for that. All right, now we're coming back to Katie. Katie, I don't know, she talked a little bit about running after everything she's been through, 5Ks, right? But you know what else? She probably doesn't brag to people, but she started Olympic weightlifting. Sorry, I had to laugh. Weightlifting after all of that. So all I have, the message to you as I end is, you don't want to be messing with Katie. Do not interfere with her dreams and her dreams. Okay, yeah, look at Brad. He's like, I can attest to that. Like, yes, dear, yes, dear. Okie dokie. Here we go. I started off by having some conversation back and forth, so we're just going to try 3 or 4 things. First thing off, I claim my good health.
I claim my good health.
I claim my positive attitude.
I claim my positive attitude.
Tomorrow, the next day, the next week, right? In the mirror, I claim my good health. I claim my positive attitude. Next one. With courage, I can.
With courage, I can.
The last one, of course, the last one is to bring joy to my heart, to bring joy to my little Nona's heart. You know what it's going to be. Coraggio!
Coraggio!
Grazie, grazie.
Bravo! Yeah, bravo! Katie, Allie, Lisa, thank you so much. I won't teach you the Italian word I learned at work from the sports radio guy. It's not polite. Just a reminder, the silent auction tables are open, but the bidding is going to close soon. They're closing waves.